All right, appears to be live. We'll do the usual testing and whatnot, just to be sure. Sound is all right, all that kind of crap, technical, blah, blah, blah. Do the usual testing and whatnot. There we go. All right, so we are making a video. Yeah. With participants, sort of. What the hell is that? I guess that's what you're seeing. Anyway, yeah, well, there's not much in comments, obviously, so I'll take care of that. Yeah. But so the title, I had an idea. So let's say I think I've done something rather substantial, not insubstantial. But regardless, all these critics say I haven't. And so I was thinking that, I'm pretty sure I have, and that this is going to happen eventually. They'll have to concede. The arguments get stronger and stronger. It just gets better and better. They're going to have to start conceding. So I was thinking like the Piro and the Hofladay, and then you can go the David Dehilster guy and rational science guy and then physics girl or the talking heads of physics. You can make a list of these people and which one will concede first or second or third or fourth in terms of, which one will be the first to have some integrity and admit that, let's just say the standard would that I've made a substantial contribution to understanding regarding physics or some kind of statement like that. And that's all they'd have to say yes to. And when 25% of the people on the list, let's say, concede, that'll be the end of the contest, so to speak. And the winner could, why not? I can afford $2,500 first prize and say a $300 second prize and a $200 third prize or something like that. Yeah, I thought it might be a good idea. Generate some interest, and just something I also sincerely have thought about, just in terms of wondering, again, how somebody who's a reasonable person can't get that this model fits so much better the facts. It's so much more straightforward, and it just solves all of the paradoxes and duality problems and fixes all of that virtual stuff and dark stuff and all of that mush. So yeah, so I thought that was a good idea. And so I just thought if you had any people that should be on the list, to post them in the comments section, not the chat section, I think would be better, comments. And then it's just a matter of also figuring out things like how to stop people from entering more than once, right? So you have to have like a YouTube channel with content on it, and if you don't, maybe you just get a penalty on in the contest or something. But yeah, it's got to be something to be able to, no sock accounts, please. So some way to, what's the simplest way to make sure somebody's a legitimate person, then they don't have multiple entries? Is there some simple system to do that through, or some simple test or whatever it would be? Just because I hate cheaters, and I wouldn't want to in any way allow one to win. And then you'd have to have some rule for the people who, I would like the people who are on the list to actually be able to enter, and have their list. But they obviously have to be penalized somehow because, collusion and stuff, they could cheat. So, it'd be nice to figure out a way to fix that. I was thinking like they can't cheat much. I mean, they can certainly cheat in the sense they can put themselves on the top of the list and then be the first person say it. So they get a point for that, and so that would give them an advantage. But you could just take 1 point off for all the people who enter. Or I can maybe just say they can only win the second prize. That's the best they can do. Can't win the first prize. So yeah, rules are always a pain in the ass. So I don't want to have to write them. So I'm basically asking you to do it. And I'm sure none of you will be at all interested in doing that. So there's really no point in me doing that. No point in me dragging my feet and not doing it myself. So maybe in a couple of weeks I will announce. Like I said, I'm thinking, $3 grand for the whole thing. Maybe I could up it because, like I said, if I can get 25% of these people that can see, that is a large percentage. Listen, it might be. It depends on how long the list is, right? I mean, 25% of 10 would be 2. That's not really enough, No, 25% of 10. How come that doesn't seem right? Just 2. This seems kind of small. Well, I mean, it's 2.5, but you know what I mean. So 30%, so there would be 3. So 3 out of 10, and if there's 20 people on the list, then that would be 6 out of 20. That's a good number. So the contest would be over when there's 30 that have 30% have conceded. And maybe that'll take 10 years. I'm just hoping that it wouldn't take too long because I just keep thinking this is just too good. I don't know how people can keep playing this game like somehow it's, it's some other kind of hat. It ain't a tinfoil hat theory. But anyway, if you want to suggest something or say something on that subject, it's okay, even though it's not technically physics. But I personally think it would be a good idea to try anyway. Just some kind of generate interest thing somehow. But again, getting a good list, a good list of, say, 15 or 20 would be really good. So if you have like mindless marbles, certainly the cowboy should be on the list. All the critics should be on the list, obviously. And then, when the contest starts, you just write up your Deadpool list of who will fall first and who will fall last. Who will be on the never, obviously you can just, you could just number your list 1, 2, 3, and everybody else is 25 because they're never going to concede. But anyway, I think it'd be interesting. So I'm probably going to do it. All right, comments. I can do that, and then I can see if any of you idiots have comments. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about the lecture videos I've started. I've got 4 of them done. Pretty good rate. So 2 videos per lecture, not too bad. And yeah, so I think it's going fairly well. So far, so good. No comments on any of those videos, but what do I expect, right? Anyway, so idiot talking. And so I could just say idiot typing. So here's an Indian guy, right, who's, got cool juicy, right? Because the guy I'm ridiculing, the physics professor, is Indian. It's just kind of obvious, right? So this is just some sort of stupid freaking bigotry. You're just a racist or something. Oh, I have to defend my kind. You don't come to Professor Lewin's defense. You don't come to Suskind's defense. You don't come to Ken Wheeler's defense. Oh, no, you got to protect the Indian guy. I mean, that's just so obvious. And, you just don't, there's no point in an idiotic racist calling anybody an idiot. Idiot. Ugh, pathetic. Pathetic. All right, so comments are done. There, that was easy. Yeah, it really is pitiful. I'm sad, but it's just, it's hard out here. It's rough. Not much. Yeah, not much. Kind of hard to find a brain anywhere. So I'll do a quick look in the subscriptions, but I'm sure there's nothing new. And I was right. So very good. So maybe we'll play some Ken Wheeler if we get desperate. And so anyway, the lecture videos. Yeah, I'm liking it. And, so, it might take a while to get through them all, but, do 803 too, maybe. And I don't know, I might look at the Yale ones just to see if I don't know if I saw I know I saw the introduction ones. I don't know, maybe the second batch might be better, but I think it gets into relativity and quantum mechanics. Those are probably worse, because it's probably just all math. And, can't do much with that. So we'll play some Ken Wheeler, and just for fun, of just the idea of what qualifies as some kind of rational. I mean, even if it was philosophy, I just don't even understand it as philosophy. It's all just so mumbo jumbo. So it's 5 minutes into this. He's saying something like there's only protons in the universe or something, I think. I just can't remember. But it's just all the same jargon, just jargon. So he calls it light and matter reconciled as one, ? Applied Platonic logic to unification. So he thinks people 3,000 years ago had all the answers. And I think it's just pathetic. They hadn't figured out shit yet. And if they were alive today, Ken, I don't think they would be doing your jargony shit. I don't think so.
I go too long into this video without, blabbing on endlessly, but we take a look at the quasar, for example, which emits electromagnetic radiation at high frequency, usually gamma or even higher, depending on the mass of the quasar. The radiation can be observed, and I'm quoting someone else here, radiation can be observed across the electromagnetic spectrum at radio, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, and X-ray and gamma wavelengths. So this is a high-power stellar phenomenon. Now,
they're supposed to be galaxies. So the birth of a galaxy is supposed to be what a quasar is. So yeah, it's got a lot of stuff going on. But maybe birth means that, it leaks a lot because it's falling apart. It's going from something like a dark, big thing to a bright, expanding thing.
We go to a pulsar, rotating a neutron star or white dwarf that emits a beam of electromagnetic radiation. So right now we're talking about super powerful cosmic entities. We're actually emitting high power gamma, X-ray, some high potency stuff. Upwards of well past.
So he thinks that he buys into this whole argument that there's somehow more energy in certain things when it's really just more of it. So the higher the frequency, the more of it you can pack into a smaller space amount of time. So obviously it can be a lot more damaging because you're, poking it slowly versus poking it fast. You can almost poke through anything if you can poke it fast enough. Slow vibrations, nothing falls apart. Fast vibration falls apart. That kind of thing.
Ultraviolet, obviously, up in the electromagnetic spectrum range of gamma. But as far as humans' conception, the electromagnetic spectrum ends somewhere at gamma or just above gamma, depending on who you ask.
Look, it's so tiny, okay? X-rays, it's 10 nanometers. Tiny. So you're getting into a, very, 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 very small frequencies.
But it would be the case that the fundamental particle is nothing other than super high energy, quasi-stable electromagnetic radiation.
Yeah, so whatever. So that's fine, whatever that means. It obviously isn't stable because it can be transferred from one form to another, one form to another so easily. So whatever. We'll see how he somehow makes that into everything we see. The gamma rays are making magnets work.
EMR. But even EMR is incorrect because from the perspective of physics, all EMR is light, whether it be visible light or otherwise, and they think it is a wave-particle duality, which, by the way, is the most insane bullshit conception that I've ever read from any branch of pseudoscience in my life, because wave-particle duality involves 3 words which are absolutely not the basis for anything in nature. There are no dualities in nature. No way, no how. Nature has no dualities. A wave is not a thing. There's no such thing as a wave.
Well, there's lots of dual purposes in nature, so that's just silly on its face. The roots of a tree stabilize the tree and to provide a mechanism to absorb nutrients.
Let me repeat that again if you think I've lost my mind. There's no such thing as a wave. A wave is not what something is. A wave is what something does.
So again, he says there's no such thing as a wave, but that's entirely what he's saying the thing is a wave, a perturbation, vibration in a medium.
There is no such thing as a wave. Let me repeat that again. Like, this is a wave. No, that's my hand moving. A wave is what something does, not what something is. So there are no dualities in nature. There's no such thing as a wave. And we take wave.
So there's just no point in having language. Like I said, he has absolutely no respect for language. Clearly, the word wave was applied to the phenomenon of when big clumps of water move, appear to move. That's what the word is used to describe, the exact phenomenon of something doing waving. And he's pretending there's no such thing because his strict definition is something else. He's saying that the first human who pointed at it and said, let's call that a wave, had no right to name the phenomenon. Like if he saw somebody running, he said, run. He had no right to name it. Yeah, he did. It was perfectly rational to do so. And you're a perfect idiot to sit there and play this word game like you're seeing past language when you're destroying it.
The particle duality in the sense that people talk about photon. Well, light is certainly not a particle.
And you prove that with no evidence. Fine.
However, if it becomes powerful enough, ironically, and as we're about to conclude.
Powerful enough. So again, it's just the only thing a photon can do is increase its frequency. The little bits of the photon are quanta. They all have the same value. And all you do is compress more of them in a moment of time. More cannonballs, more effect. Less cannonballs, less effect. Shoot a bunch of them, more effect. Shoot fewer of them, less effect. That's all there is.
Here, based upon what we observe as far as cosmic phenomena, Occam's razor, and Platonic retroduction, at extremely high power, it does become a particle, but visible radiation.
Oh, okay. It does become a particle at extremely high power. He says it certainly is not. And then he says at high power it's a particle. How can he say something like that? All these years saying it's not a particle, it's not a particle, it's not a particle. And then he says, well, if it's high power, it's a particle. What the hell? What the hell? You just duality, retard. You just gave two different answers to the same query. What's a photon? Well, it's not a particle. Well, it is if it's a high energy.
Gamma, ultimately, that's not a particle. That's a misapprehension.
Okay, so the gamma is not a particle. It's a misapprehension. So at some energy higher than gamma, which doesn't exist as far as we know in the electromagnetic spectrum, but go ahead, let's play the game. Infinite frequency. At infinite frequency, it's a particle. Okay.
Coaxial nature of light, which is transverse electromagnetic and longitudinal pulse perturbation.
So let's understand, you got no frequency, then all you have is a stick, right? If there's no separation between things, then it's a stick. It's a continuous object. It's not made of anything discrete anymore.
Let's take the third cosmic phenomenon. A blazar is an active galactic nucleus.
Whatever, a blazar. I haven't even heard of a blazar, so let's just pretend they don't really exist because they really don't exist.
AGN, with a relativistic jet. A jet composed of ionized matter. So the larger these cosmic phenomena are...
a relativistic jet. So clearly, whatever a blazar is, we know that's just made up. That's crap. So, straw man. That's just a straw man argument. Deal with the things that they really say exist, not the ones that just a few of the nutters say exist.
With supermassive stars become quasars or pulsars. We know for a fact we've seen countless...
Quasars are not supermassive stars. They're a collection of stuff in small space.
Evidences of galactic jets. If you know what a galactic jet is, nice to see them in the center of several galaxies in the far...
Well, they really haven't seen them. This is all kind of dirty language. So they've synthesize them in images they invent, but everybody's seen them.
From distance, and also seen them from SMBs, a supermassive black hole. Of course, a black hole is a misnomer. A black hole is neither black nor is it a hole. It is a mass where dielectric is actually over.
Well, nobody thought a black hole was just a black hole. So, of course, it always had a definition of, being full of absorbed mass. So, another word game, like pretending a black hole isn't a black hole. Well, yeah, they know it's not a black hole. It's not like a cartoon hole and you put it somewhere and you can go through it. No.
From magnetism's ability to keep anything in the physical universe, because anything in the physical universe only exists wholly due to magnetism, which is force in motion. We only have
okay, force in motion, which doesn't say anything about why a magnet's attract and repel. There's more not force in motion. I don't know how people make any sense out of that. How did the 196 people who thumbed up this video make any sense out of force in motion? I would imagine force always has to be in motion, or it's not a force. If the force is just saying, I'm sitting in my chair, I don't want to go outside today, then how can the force do anything? The force is inert. It's nothing. Can't be a force if it's not in motion. I mean, it just kind of breaks the word force. You want to show me somewhere where like a caveman said, looked at a tree and said, force? Or did he do it when he saw like a big giant wave coming or a big giant rainstorm coming? No, force! Which one do you think really happened? Did anybody ever look at something not moving, showing no signs of movement, no signs of a capacity to move, and point at it and go, force? I don't think so.
Two principles in the universe: force in motion, inertia, and acceleration. If something is
force in motion, inertia, acceleration, blah, 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 blah. And he doesn't think inertia means movement. So it means some weird thing from Platonic days. So you throw that word out. So force, motion, acceleration. Well, acceleration is a kind of motion, so kind of redundant and useless. I just wish I could kidnap the assholes that think this crap is something, and tie them in a chair and hit them with some rubber hoses until they admit they don't know what the fuck this asshole's talking about.
So massive, its dielectric acceleration overcomes its the magnetic principle.
Dielectric acceleration. I mean, it's just, like I said, a dielectric is a substance. A dielectric is a substance. It is not some kind of stuff other than a substance. A material, like a piece of glass or something. That's a dielectric. It's an insulator.
Of that masses matter collectively to keep it within the visible universe. So we have something that is to the human mind completely contradictory. We have something that is so incredibly massive, yet it actually has no magnitude.
So you get something that just makes no sense. So I'm sure nobody in history ever did that. The massive thing has no massiveness. I mean, it just doesn't even make any sense. It has a bunch of mass, but no magnitude. How could that jargon mean anything to a rational human being? It's colorful, but it has no color. What?
In other words, something supermassive with no magnitude. It literally got so large that it vanished from the empirical universe, which makes...
Yes, it makes no sense. It just sounds insane. It breaks basic conservation laws. We don't see that happening anywhere. Certainly, I'm not on the micro world, because then all of a sudden stuff would break and disappear and fucked hard all over the place if it just got, oh, I got too massive, I'm disappearing now. It's silly.
No sense at a superficial level, but if you actually raise your mind up a little bit, you understand.
Yeah, raise your mind up and stick it in your ass, I guess, because that's the only way this could make sense, is you would have to be really, really sick and retarded.
And that everything is a battle between two forces. Everything is pressure mediation. If the
Yes, everything is a battle between force and matter. Or you could say force and force with matter as the conduit. It's... there's a bobbling clown, blow up balloon clown, and the forces punch it. But that's all that's happening in the universe, really. the simple explanation.
Electric overthrows the magnetic, and then something literally.
Electric overthrows the magnetic. Well, the magnetic was supposed to be the big deal. I think the magnetic overthrows the electric, so blah, blah, blah. But whatever, you contradict yourself constantly. 1 minute it's all magnetic, the next minute it's all electric.
Blinks out from the visible universe. Its mass is still there so far as a topos with Cartesian coordinates, but it has no magnitude because the...
Yeah, so again, so there's a mass that has no magnitude. It just... So that's dark matter. Okay, we have a mass with no magnitude except it makes gravity or does whatever you want it to do. It's the invisible man now. So if you, whatever, trip on a banana peel, you'll become a supermassive object and become the invisible man. That's the fable here, apparently. And it sucks. New comments. Oh, wonderful.
Mass. Mass equals magnetism. The mass has vanished from the universe. So
mass equals magnetism now. So we got some new definition. M equals M. So fine. I'll agree with that one.
Hard light. Now, of course, I say that jokingly. We can.
Yes, I say it jokingly because somehow I can use all these big giant words and do all this bullshit and blah, 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 blah. But I can't come up with a decent way of describing light that somehow does some extra dimensional thing, converts into something called matter. I could just say it converts into matter. I don't really have to, say something silly like hard light.
You can agree to call it countless different things. I'm just going to say hard light because it's slightly amusing. But I mean this seriously, though, that extremely high end of the spectrum, somewhere around, I don't know if it's above 100 electrovolts or not. The smaller the space also, too. The smaller the space, the higher the capacitance. So we have...
something that just doesn't make any sense at all. If you know anything about capacitance, the more, you need more to make more. You need more surface area. Not smaller surface area doesn't make more capacitance. It's just silly. So hard light, whatever. I just say to that. I got nothing to say to it. Obviously, when it turns into whatever he's saying it's turning into, it doesn't have any of the properties of light anymore. It's certainly not moving the speed of light anymore, or else it would be blowing holes all over the universe. So it obviously loses all of its momentum when it does this conversion into matter, which I wouldn't. I'm not opposed to some idea that force can be converted into matter. I just don't think it converts this way. I don't think it's the part of physics that we even need to bother worrying about. There's so many other parts that are so much more interesting, like why the magnets move towards each other and why they move away, which Ken never deals with.
Have a supermassive black hole. The center of galaxies have been observed. You see galactic jets that are literally, with geomagnetic precession, it's hard to imitate geomagnetic precession with my fingers here, with geomagnetic precession are emitting trillions and trillions and trillions of tons, literally, of hydrogen.
So he doesn't believe anything conventional physics says, but he believes this stuff. So, but whatever.
Hydrogen is nothing other than a fundamental particle, of course. One proton, right? There are different types of hydrogen, more complex versions of hydrogen, tritium, deuterium.
Yeah, see, I think it'd be silly to say that hydrogen is a proton, because hydrogen has to have, well, it doesn't have to have. It's really, yes, helium is where matter starts to get interesting. Hydrogen is a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah. I'm always thinking about 1,000 things at once, but at the supermassive black holes, the geomagnetic precession begins. We actually have a fact where the deceleration of the creation of fundamental particles, instead of the creation of light at various spectrums, be it X-ray or gamma or ultraviolet, in a quasar, in the case of a quasar, in the case of a pulsar.
Look, black holes can't be spewing matter because they would reabsorb it because of their gravity. So they'd have to do something else, because that really ain't going to work. They'd have to spew the matter at such a high velocity. It would make all kinds of trouble.
At the center of these supermassive black holes, we see as black holes in the far off distant.
We don't really see black holes. There's really no proof that they are black holes, but whatever, fine.
Or usually at the center of galaxies, we actually see trillions and trillions of tons of hydrogen being emitted at the geomagnetic precession of the polar ends of the black hole. And this is amazing. What the black hole was actually technically doing, the supermassive black hole. And I hate to say black hole because, like I said, black hole is not black nor is it.
Yeah, whatever. You know, you're just you'll accept their jargon when it's something you can use, but when it's not, you'll just ignore reality and pretend there's no such thing as an electron, for example. Crazy.
Hole. But at the center of these black hole phenomena, what we call a black hole, what they're doing is that the power level is so insanely high, whether it's 100 electrovolts or whatever power rating it is, because like I said, smart space higher capacitance. Infrared's 1.7 electrovolts, green is 2.3 electrovolts, and ultraviolet is 3 electrovolts, and gamma is much higher, but incredibly high.
Right, it just has to do with the fact that that creates pressure. Proximity is pressure, so hitting something quickly is well, it's more about effects in practical matter, and the only reason why you can mathematically make it make sense is because obviously you can fit twice as many ultraviolet photons in the same space. You can fit infrared, more than twice as many.
Power levels in electrovolts, what we have is the creation of a fundamental particle, which is quasi-stable. From the sense of human beings, of course, this matter, you know, it hangs around for billions of years, but in the sense of time, of course, has no meaning. Time is only a measure of magnitudes, by the way. We measure things and how long they last. From our perspective,
measurement of magnitudes. Just the measurement of how long it takes to move distance. That's it. It's the amount of time it takes to move a distance at a constant speed.
As pathetical human beings, of course, matter, you know, lasts for a perdurable eternity. Billions of years, the same little particle of atom, atomic particle, will exist, but from the perspective of the universe, it's just, you know, fart in the wind, humorously. But I mean, these galactic jets are nothing other than super powerful light. I mean, I say amusingly hard light.
Well, whatever. Whatever. Yes, there is such radiation, X-rays, and all that kind of stuff is admitted by things that are falling apart. Okay, so what does that have to do with anything?
In conventional EMR, the coaxial circuit is mutually manifest as a field perturbation.
EMR, I guess that's electromagnetic radiation. So the photon, the group called photon, radio waves to gamma.
Where, and this is my writing, by the way, I'm not reading this from somebody else. EMR coaxial circuit is mutually manifest as the field perturbation where the right-hand rule of transverse electrical magnetic perturbations exchange existence with the longitudinal propagation of the dielectric pulse perturbation.
So I'm sure the 196 people know exactly what the hell that was. I'm sure they don't.
But a much higher power instead of a blinking pulse perturbation, i.e. EMR, with a set frequency, i.e. light, whether it be gamma or visible light or otherwise, there's a fundamental soul particle creation.
Soul particle creation. And again, fine, but so what? So it creates what kind of particle? Proton? Because that's the only particle you say exists. So if light is converted into a super high frequency, you know, I would argue it can't be because light is created between electrons, the things you don't think exist, and how close the electrons are decides the frequency of the radiation emitted. But let's just continue.
Where light requires field perturbation propagation, this hard light, so to say, attains absolute non-frequency. In other words, when the supermassive black holes create
absolutely non-frequency. So again, it's just continuous then, and then it would be much bigger than a particle because it'd be way too long.
Create an EMR of such high power that there is a literal near non-frequency. Now,
all right, so what? So what? Let's just concede. So what does this have to do with anything? Light and matter reconciled. How are you doing that? How are you reconciling how light and matter interact? You want to say that light turns into matter. Well, then again, you're going to go back to your conservation problem. Then the matter must turn back into light. So fine, you can make it circular if you wish. What does that have to do with anything?
But they do create their own electron cloud. And of course, I say electron, there's no such thing as an electron. We say this.
So see, it creates an electron cloud, but there's no such thing as electrons. So it's obviously a cloud of something else.
Charged cloud. Because an atom, and even scientists will agree on this, is nothing more than the universe's smallest engine or dynamo. I mean, that's all any atom is, whether it be hydrogen or gold or any other atom. Every atom is just nothing other than a tiny, super, ultra, the smallest type of engine or dynamo.
You got that wrong too, but it's got a bunch of magnetism locked up in it, in the sense that it's got a bunch of force trapped between the magnetic bits.
Everything that we call mass and matter, the fundamental particle, of which there is only one, Occam's razor and the comprehension of nature and field mechanics and applying Platonic retroduction in the absolutist sense must say that there is only one fundamental particle, and of course there exists harmonics of this particle. This is also...
Of course, there's harmonics of the particle, whatever the fuck that would be. Harmonics of a particle? I mean, isn't that just a silly thing to say? I mean, the particle would be bouncing. The particle can't have a harmonic. You have to have another particle to, be at a different frequency. Oh, this is such crap.
So Walter Russell's discovery. He actually created this flow chart. Look it up. Type in Walter Russell elemental chart.
I could type in how to put head in ass. I'm not going to do that either.
Everything is a harmonic based upon a compounding of this fundamental particle. Stars emit light. They're not that powerful. Galactic.
Stars are pretty powerful. They suck a lot of stuff up. Big, hot. But yeah, it's not a lot of light.
Jets emit, and we can think of another term to call it. I don't care what the hell anybody calls it. Galactic jets are so incredibly powerful. They're literally emitting hard light, i.e. trillions and trillions and trillions of tons of hydrogen, because they...
Yes, whatever. And where does all that go? And where's your evidence that it actually goes somewhere and does something and blah, 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 blah. No, that's right. We're short on the evidence part.
Literally are that powerful. Everything we call the fundamental particle, specifically the hydrogen nucleus, or hydrogen itself, because there's no such thing as an electron. Every atom is nothing other than a tiny little nuclear generator.
Tiny nuclear generator. Well, everybody who does any nuclear science kind of knows the electrons are pretty important. Pretty important.
Quasi-stable one, from the perspective of stupid humans, lasts an imperturbable eternity. But they're not stable. There's nothing stable that's phenomenal. All phenomena is, by definition, according to Pythagorean logic and Platonic retroduction, is unstable. So,
unstable. No. Except it lasts billions of years. It's unstable. Except for that billions of years thing. I mean, on its face, it make any sense? I mean, the photon travels 13 billion years across the universe. It seems pretty stable.
If a supermassive star collapses into a black hole, then the black hole is a superstar. A black hole is neither black nor is it a hole. It's rather
superstar. It's not really a star. I mean, if it's a black hole, then it has magnitude that puts it in this new category. So calling it a superstar is just kind of... We already have a name for it. It's a stupid name.
Something so massive that it has no magnitude. The dielectric is...
It's so massive it has no magnitude. I don't know where he gets this from. It has no magnitude except it shoots this horrific jets out. Except for that, it doesn't have any magnitude.
Literally overthrow magnetism's ability to keep in the visible universe, as I said before. This is akin to a type of absolute zero. The only logical reason that...
Akin to a kind of absolute zero. So a bucket of space isn't akin to absolute zero, but a black hole is. That makes a lot of sense. Sure.
Galactic jets are emitting anything at all is that the extreme power manifests this hard light, which has a centrifugal impetus, which self-ejects from the...
Centrifugal impetus that self-ejects. Self-ejects by itself. No ejector seat. It just ejects by itself.
Counterspatial point source.
Counterspatial point source. So it is the non-magnitude in the counter space. Oh, forget it, Dan. I won't even bother trying. It's just so bad. I'm just trying to get through this, so we'll just finish it since I started it. But just a big mistake. There's just nothing here. Nothing that could any rational person could say, oh, wow, yeah, I really get it now.
Along, and the only way it could be ejected, the only point source, the only source which it could be ejected at, which it is being ejected at an observation, is along the point of geomagnetic precession on either pole. That's actually fundamentally incredible. And if you actually penetrate...
Well, I'm afraid it's really nothing incredible about a two stars orbiting each other. Not very incredible.
Your mind into it and think about it a second. This is the reconciliation of light versus matter. There's no such thing as light versus matter. There is only light.
Well, light is a force, and there's the entire universe is forces against matter. Force bits against matter bits. It's what makes everything happen.
What we call matter, the fundamental particle, is nothing other than super high-powered, ultra-high energy, whether it be 100 electrovolts or 150
so whatever. So it's obviously not light, though, because it's not moving the speed of light, so it can't be in the category of light anymore. So no point in calling it light. So just say that light, when it goes at when the frequency gets tight enough, it somehow stops moving and becomes a proton. Just say that. I might even buy that. I might even say that that could be. I don't know about the losing its velocity thing. You have to turn it into a spinning thing or something. So that's why the velocity gets trapped. So when the frequency gets high enough, it traps the velocity in a spiral, and it becomes a proton, you could say. But I would still argue that, nah, that ain't right.
volts. I don't know, but that'll be the creation of the fundamental particle. That's the reason why quasars and pulsars are emitting radio and ultraviolet and X-ray. Our star emits visible light. It also emits UV, and it's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not that powerful in the scheme of things.
Well, you have to understand, something's not going to emit something unless something inside of it is really fucked up. I mean, something has to be kind of wrong with it for it to be emitting stuff. That's losing its stuff. Stuff doesn't want to lose stuff. So it's losing stuff. That means something's breaking.
One up the scale from our star, we have quasars and pulsars that are emitting much more powerful light. Gamma, X-rays, they kill you in an instant, obviously. And then up from that, we have super...
Well, not unless you're really... You get a lot of them. That instant thing doesn't happen too often.
Supermassive black holes that are emitting also a type of light. So we go from visible light, not so powerful, which we get from our sun, much more powerful deadly light in quasars and pulsars, and one up is emitting the absolute form of light, the highest power of light, which I am humorously, however quasi-seriously,
yeah, regardless, it's obviously could be measured if it was some substance. So it's obviously one of the generic substances, or we would see it, find it. It would hurt us in some way.
Calling it hard light, whatever we call it, doesn't make any damn difference. Is a supermassive black hole.
Well, if you're saying it turns into an elementary particle, the thing to call it would be an elementary particle. Elemento.
Are emitting hard light. That is the only logical Occam's razors paradigm, Platonic retroduction, and the Pythagorean logic. That is the answer.
Yes, based on absolutely no evidence, really, and no depth of testing this theory. This theory is not at all tested. He's just basically saying, I have a muzzle for a dog that guarantees he can't bite, he can't do this, can't do that. And, we never even tested it. Never put it on a dog.
The universe is really simple. It's that human beings are really that stupid. We think matter is one thing and EMR or light is another. They're not. They're one and the same.
Yeah, well, they are very different. One's going the speed of light and one's not. Difference right there. So, I mean, whatever. Yeah, force isn't the same as matter, so it really isn't. But whatever. Play your game.
Same thing. We think gravity is one thing and dielectricity and magnetism and electricity are different things.
Yes, no, they are all the same thing, so we agree on one thing.
They're not. They're one thing. They're just different modality expressions of the same thing.
Yes, that's exactly right. But I wouldn't say they're modality expressions. Yes, they're just filtered versions of the same thing. One filtered for frequency, one filtered for polarity, so to speak.
Thing. Like water and ice and steam. It's all water. No, we got water here and ice here. And, it's hard. That's hard. That's different because it's hard.
Well, this is kind of a straw man when he keeps bringing this up, because physicists know that it's all water. They're not fooled by the, they don't think the snow is made out of some different chemical.
Hard. And we got steam over here, that's vapor. No, it's all the same thing. They're just different modality expressions of the same thing. So this is the absolute reconciliation of light and matter. They are all absolutely, fundamentally one thing.
Well, I'm just saying, it's obviously in the universe we now exist in, they're not the same thing, because they can clearly have properties that put them in different categories. Going the speed of light, not going the speed of light, for example.
Separated by potency or power. We literally, the premise of applying...
Yes, the matter has no power. The force is the power. The force tells the matter what to do. The matter doesn't tell the force what to do.
Platonic retroduction is that the absolute highest in 100 electrovolts or whatever it occurs at is an absolute non-frequency, because all EMR is a set frequency. But if it attains such a high power, its pulsation becomes a non-frequency. It is literally like a power...
all EMR is a set frequency. Again, it's not set. It's all kinds of variations in the frequencies created by most excitements will create a lot of different frequencies. They'd like it if they could create just one perfect frequency. That would be very, very useful.
That is akin to absolute zero. I don't know if you've ever seen or know what a superliquid is. I grew up experimenting with liquid hydrogen and superconductors, so to say. A superliquid chilled to a near absolute zero liquid hydrogen.
Right, so liquid hydrogen is still hydrogen, blah, 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 blah. So you shouldn't be talking about like it's something different. It's just a different modality of the same thing.
Hydrogen, liquid, helium temperatures. It's weird. It defies gravity. It flows up out of the chamber. It does weird, freaky shit.
It doesn't flow out of the chamber. It doesn't do all that shit unless you create an environment to make it do that. Yes, it has electrical and magnetic properties. You should understand that word, magnetic, that are different than when it's in a non-chilled state.
That liquid's not supposed to do. So at powers of incredible potency, there's no longer frequency.
So powers at an incredible potency, what does that mean? They take a lot of iron.
There still is, but it's at a cosmic frequency that is incalculably high. And of course, every atom is nothing other than a dynamo, and that is where, of course,
another just jargon. It's not just a dynamo. A dynamo is a specific kind of mechanism that generates a specific kind of energy. It's not just, you can't just say dynamo and say, there, I've done it. I've done my job. I don't have to explain how exactly it dynamos. Yeah, but I would argue that, yes, there are mechanisms inside of atomic structure.
They generate their electrical cloud that exists around them. Someday in the
no electrical clouds. No.
Far distant future, human beings will prove everything I said in this video.
100%. You just said they can't prove it 100%, but you contradicted yourself at least 3 times. So they can't prove it 100% because there's overt contradictions.
100% absolutely correct. No one else has ever said stuff like this before. Not that I've ever known.
I've heard lots of wacky crap like this. The jackasses you mentioned wrote lots of wacky crap like this.
Read anybody say that light and matter are one and the same thing, and using...
Well, no one would be stupid enough to say that, because they're obviously not one in the same thing at this current moment. They're clearly very different things. One's going the speed of light, one's not. One's going incredibly fast. One has to be pushed everywhere it goes.
Any sort of logic to apply that to a conclusion thereof. The only person that's done that is me. And I say that egotistically, you can say that yes or no, but I don't know of anybody that's ever done that.
Yes, I don't think you've done anything, so except make up a bunch of words and put words that should never be put in the same sentence and deny the existence of perfectly rational words. So yes, you haven't done anything useful or good.
But that can be the only answer to the simplicity. There is no other answer. Matter is nothing other than super high potency.
Super high matter is only super high potency light. So again, I wouldn't even hate, like I said, E equals mc squared. I wouldn't even hate the idea of saying matter is just hard energy. Yeah. But this crap, no.
Yeah, EMR. Every bit of logic and wisdom applied to comprehending fundamental cosmic mechanics says that it cannot exist any other way than that. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If not, you
so, like I said, a fair interpretation of Einstein is to say exactly the same thing. It's basically just saying there's a bunch of force in the matter. Same difference.
I'm going to take a jump off a take a flying leap off a cliff.
Yes, whatever. It probably would make me happy just because you're a blight to intelligence. You're an insult to honesty. You don't even believe the crap you spew. You can't, because it doesn't make any logical sense. And again, you seem to be able to explain a camera without all this bizarre jargon. And yet you can't explain the universe without resorting to constant jargon? Yes, that seems a little suspicious. I mean, really, if he takes the camera apart, he's never going to go, well, this is the perpetuating zipper zapper, the non-momentum absence of magnitude shield. And that shit comes up. You know. All right, so anyway. I thought that would be more fun than it was, but it wasn't any fun. And there's still no comments, right? Yeah, so no chappers. So I guess I'm wasting my time, so I'll stop doing that. And such. So anyway, just thought I would, like I said, lecture videos are going pretty good. And the contest, I think, would be a good idea. So I guess I'll have to do it all. And so I will. But like I said, if you're a casual viewer and you want to make your list of the people you think should be included on the list, fine. Otherwise, I'll have to do it myself. And such. So, till the next time, and such. Give you 30 seconds. What the hell? And let's just see, for the sake of it, 14 viewers. Yeah, it should be one comment anyway. 14 people can handle one comment. Just one. No. Apparently not. So yes, I should have done edition 5 of the lecture series. Shouldn't have bothered with this video. But anyway. Till the next time, and such, so forth and whatnot.